Therefore, when you go towards that majalis, have a level of khushu and a level of tears, because know and believe that the Imam himself has come to welcome you with this, in these majalises. And this is why you feel the excitement. Why would all the hadith, without any qaid and shurut, without any conditions, say, Qur'an Imam Husayn, that's it. Ziyara does not mean bodily, physically being going to Karbala. Ma'rifah of Allah is gained by understanding the Imam on whom it is whose wajib ta'ah.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah wa ala al-arwahi allati hallat bi fina'ik. Alaykum minni jami'an salamullahi abadan ma baqita wa baqiya al-layl wa an-nahar. Assalamu ala al-Husayn wa ala Ali ibn al-Husayn wa ala awlad al-Husayn wa ala ashab al-Husayn. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers, and welcome to another episode of Faraj podcasts, brought to you from the holy city of Qom within these days of grief, the days of tears, the days of none other than our master Abi Abdullah al-Husayn. Thank you for joining us. And once again, within these series dedicated to these days of Muharram, we wanted to address certain issues that have been of great importance within the narrations, and also some of our earlier generations, some of our elders have really given this great importance. But nowadays, this particular topic, which inshallah I will introduce in a few moments, is something that in our current generation is something that's probably, it's critiqued. And critiquing in and of itself is not a problem. But obviously everything in life has a, let's say, deficiency and an excess. So when we look at some of our communities, our English-speaking communities, we see that this topic, and that is the adab, the manners of attending a majlis of Imam Husayn alayhi salam. Sometimes whether it's reciting certain fazail, or for example reciting the musibah, or even weeping tears on Imam Husayn, crying intensely for Imam Husayn, what we have seen is that nowadays these things are criticized. And sometimes we feel that this criticism might be in excess. It's just done for the sake of critiquing. Now obviously I'm not trying to sort of stereotype or judge anyone and everyone, but when we speak to some of the people, whether it's in America or in the United Kingdom, sometimes you see these things coming about, which is why my guest today is my wife Siddiqa. We wanted to sort of address this particular topic. What is the adab or the manners of attending a majlis of Abi Abdullah al-Husayn? So Siddiqa, once again, thank you for joining me. And without a shadow of a doubt, these things are so important. Just the other day, I was actually seeing the clip of another scholar. And I know that this particular person who I'm talking about he's busy in Tabligh, he studied in the house of Qum for at least 30 years. At least that's what I know of. And, maybe he's done more, and a reliable source told me that this scholar has studied for 30 years. And he says that, look, he was saying something from his community. He said, he's quoting now some of the parents, right? So the parents are saying that, we made our kids pray Salatul Lail. We made them pray the 5 daily prayers. Certain gunas, certain sins that could come into our house, we've removed that. But yet, we have this fear, or rather we've seen that our children are sort of going off the path. So, this scholar, he was trying to teach them something. And he's saying that, look, just by obviously, if you force your children to pray Salatul Lail, right, then, or if you force somebody to do anything, then obviously you're going to face a backlash. Every person has their own personality, and if you force them or something, there is going to be for every action there's a reaction. But he said, look, if you want to really do tarbiyah, you want to bring up your children the way God wants them to, one of the deeds that really affects the child is this thing of the Majlis of Husayn. So he says, look, if you want that intercession, right? You want the Ahlul Bayt to come to your house. Nothing is related to fasting, right? Or for example, praying Salah or praying Salatul Layl, right? They have their own respective places. But what this scholar was trying to emphasize on is like, this thing of establishing a Majalis of Ahlul Bayt, even if it's in your house. And he said, look, even if you don't have the money, right? Even if you sit down with your family, recite the Musibah, remember Imam Husayn, right? Within your own family members, that's it. You've done it. You've established a Majlis of Imam Husayn, and Allah will bless you. The angels come to your house, and people can look at the narrations. So I want to start off by asking you, can you touch upon the spiritual meaning of the Majalis of the Ahlul Bayt?
According to, so basically my reference book for this one is a book by one of the scholars in Qom.
Yeah.
It's obviously in a Persian language.
Yeah.
And he has brought together all these information, and what he says is that the Majalis of the Ahlul Bayt has the same meaning as the ziyarah of the Ahlul Bayt.
Okay.
And to start off, he quotes a hadith. He says, it's Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He tells one of his companions, why don't you visit Imam Husayn 5 times on a Friday and every other day once? Now obviously his companion was quite surprised. 5 times on one day? How am I going to go I live in one city and you're telling me to go to Karbala?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you don't have to do that. What you have to do is go to your rooftop, raise your head towards the sky, and towards the sky facing Karbala, and send a simple salam to Imam Husayn, and send a simple salam to Imam Husayn.
Yeah.
This signifies the fact that ziyarah does not mean bodily, physically going to Karbala.
Yeah.
It is just, even if you're from far, that it has the same ziyarah, because ziyarah is a connection of the heart, not a connection of the bodies.
Yes.
So it is not necessary for a person to go physically.
Yeah.
Now we take that same concept and bring it to the Majalis of the Ahlul Bayt.
Yeah.
We take in the Majalis of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam as well, there is a spiritual connection with the Ahlul Bayt.
Yeah.
And therefore it has the same meaning as the ziyarah of the Ahlul Bayt, because here the souls of the Imam and the follower unite.
MashaAllah.
And this union is what allows spiritual upliftment and spiritual development to occur. A lot of the times you find, and this is from a very personal experience as well, any of those, a lot of the times when Muharram would come, those, it would seem that those 12 days would be the perfect time for spiritual development.
Yeah.
And akhlaqi development. A lot of these times, even any akhlaqi issues that we would have, I would personally find that the first 12 days would be the perfect time to get rid of them. 12 days later, it's gone.
It's gone.
Which is why it needs a preparation. Muharram is not one of those days you just enter.
Yeah.
It is one that requires preparation from beforehand, preparing the soul, preparing the mind to enter these days.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways is to learn about Ahlul Bayt, to gain the ma'rifah, even if the ma'rifah starts with simple things like learning about the history.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Allama Tabatabai,
Yeah.
he had actually gone to a majlis. Now, Allama Tabatabai is he's no ordinary scholar. Exactly. One of the students of our Qadi, the author of Tafsir al-Quran, the author of all these philosophy books. So he was a great scholar. He says someone says he went to Majlis of the Ahlul Bayt, and basically in that Majlis he sat in one of the parts of the house that had been recently renovated. So he asked the people over there, how long has the Majalis been going on here? And he says 40 years. So he finds out where the place where exactly 40 years happened, and he goes to the older part of the house because he could sense the spiritual atmosphere which would gain through this majalis, because in this majalis, like I said, it is a union of the imam and the follower.
Yeah.
And therefore there's a lot of adab that goes into it.
Yeah, that is very important. The thing of that when you want to enter a majalis, there's this thing of izne dukhul, whether you're entering a shrine, right? The asking for permission to enter. So is there something like that in relation to the majalis of Imam Husayn as well?
So if we believe, and if we have this belief that the majalis of the Ahlul Bayt has the same hukum and has the same meaning of going for the ziyarah, then the idhn dukhul has meaning to it. Because this majalis of the Ahlul Bayt, this going to visit them, again, like I said, is a spiritual union between them. And this is why when the idhn dukhul happens, there is a level of khushu and there's a level of tears that need to flow as well. A lot of the times, at least within our societies, you have this whole question on, oh, we don't need to cry for Imam Husayn. We can just remember what he stood for and let's learn from it. This is a very Christianity-based mentality. Right? When it comes to Imam Husayn, look at what our corpus says, not what other people. Just because we lived in a country with a different religion doesn't mean we need to follow what they say, however beautiful it looks, however nice it sounds. Because we need to understand Islam comes with spirituality in it. Islam devoid of spirituality is nothing. So when it comes to Ibn Dukhul as well, one of the things is like there's a hadith that says فَإِنْ خَشَعَ قَلْبُكَ وَدَمَعَتْ عَيْنُكَ فَهُوَ عَلَامَةُ الْإِذْنِ. When the heart softens and the tears flow, that means the Imam has granted permission for you to enter. Therefore, going to the Majalis of the Ahlul Bayt needs a level of khushu and a level of grief within the person. Like, a lot of the times when Muharram comes, people see this excitement in the heart to go to the Majalis of the Ahlul Bayt. And this in itself is tawfiq. Those who do not go for this majalis for whatever reason, now, and I'm referring to people who purposely avoid it. You know, I find that people bring about 1,000,000 reasons. I have this, I have that, and only on Ashura they go. Fine, do whatever, but you're losing out a tawfiq that is going to help you in your spiritual development. And this is why when it comes, this is where the level of tears and all of that play a very important role. There's a story from Imam Sadiq's time. Basically, he had a few companions who came to visit him. And when they came, he told his servants to help them with all their luggage and everything. And then when they're leaving, he's like, don't help them. So they were kind of very upset. They're like, did we do something wrong to you? He's like, no, when you're coming to us, we want to welcome you. But when you're leaving from us, we don't want to send you away. And this is why Allama Tabatabai, when he used to go for the ziyarah of Imam Rida alayhi salam as well, he says that when I used to enter, I used to see Imam Rida himself coming to welcome. So this is the Imam's compassion towards his own belief, towards his own followers. Therefore, when you go towards that majalis, have a level of khushu and a level of tears, because know and believe that the Imam himself has come to welcome you with this in these majalises. And this is why you feel the excitement. And when you're leaving, even when you leave a majalis, there's a level of huzn and there's a level of grief that takes over. Even when you go for physical ziyarah to the shrines, when a person is going, they're very excited, but when they're leaving, there's this attachment that doesn't allow them to leave. That's because the Imam is feeling that same separation that you are. And the more a person goes for this majalis, the stronger this bond becomes. Which is why they say 10 days, continuously go. Not only Ashura. Go from the 1st to the 10th, because over these 10 days, you can build up on all of this. If you go only one day, then where's the spiritual development? Reading books is one thing, right? Listening to lectures online is another thing. But being there and creating that spiritual connection is a completely different level. And when it is in a group of people, the better, because when there's a majalis, the angels come down there. And these all in our hadith, the angels come down, and when they go back, there's this beautiful scent coming out from them that the last group asks them, where were you? They're like, oh, we went to the majalis of the Ahlul Bayt. Therefore, and the angels are not physical beings for us to look at them from a physical dimension.
Okay, that's very interesting, because since you're on the topic of Allama Tabatabai, I know one of my teachers, he was saying that they asked Allama Tabatabai, how is knowledge gained? And obviously, he was this is in opposition to sort of a person who, maybe out of laziness, let's say, if somebody has a valid excuse, that's a different thing, but out of laziness, you choose to sit online or back home. And Allama Tabatabai, he says three things. He says, now obviously I'll say it in Farsi and then I'll translate it into English. He said, Zanu be Zanu, Sine be Sine, and Nafas be Nafas. So he's saying that, look, knowledge is gained in three ways: knees to knees, chest to chest, and breath to breath. Now he says, obviously the first thing is basic, that all of us have to endeavor. So you find a scholar who's acting on their knowledge, who is pious, and you go and sit in their presence, basically. So you sit knees to knees. So you sit, and there's a bit of humility, that you sit in front of your teacher, not with the arrogance, not with the aim of criticizing. So that's knees to knees. Chest to chest, obviously, you let him talk, and obviously it necessitates that there has to be a level of spiritual, purification there. And when both sides are pure, then the knowledge goes from the chest to the chest. This is Allama Tabatabai, not me. And then you have nafas to nafas, and it's a very irfani thing, where basically breath to breath. So both of the student and the teacher are on a higher level, and so that's something that requires explanation from those students.
So when we want to go, like you said, there has to be a level of taharat.
Yeah.
Right? So when we're going again to the Ahlul Bayt, when we believe that the Majalis has the hukm of the ziyarah of the Ahlul Bayt, the taharat is necessary as well.
Yeah.
There is one taharat that is obviously the physical, the wudu, the ghusl, one of them. Then there is a spiritual one as well, which requires istighfar to come about. Which is why I said, prepare yourselves before Muharram to enter Muharram. Because these are one of those ayam, these are one of those days where people rise. Like the teacher of Allama Tabatabai again, he would say that the only way to, that there are very few ways to access the higher realms, and one of them is Imam Husayn. And even Allama Tabatabai, he would be like, if I've gained anything, I've gained it from Imam Husayn. Allama Ayatollah Ashi Najafi. Very famous scholar. From the quite a few centuries back, I guess. He's buried in Qom as well. Not quite a few, just a few centuries back. He's buried in Qom as well. He says, I went to the ziyarah of Imam Husayn alayhi salam once, and he actually went with he was feeling very spiritually. He had a few, he was kind of stagnant. He wasn't able to progress in his spiritual. His eyes were suffering. He couldn't write properly. He had a lot of difficulties. He says, I went to the haram of Imam Husayn and stayed the night there. A long story how he did it, but he stayed the night there, and in the night he got this spiritual meeting with the Imam, and in that, whatever the Imam told him cured his spiritual stagnancy that he was going through. Now obviously he went to Karbala, but that does not mean that we cannot get the same spirituality in the Majalis of the Ahlul Bayt. And I feel that if people go over there, if we, me including, if we go over there with our attention everywhere else but there, we will not be able to, you see, the soul and the body are interconnected, and if we allow our mind to wander over everywhere, that connection does not occur. Therefore, before you go, have a bit of astaghfar. Like even the ziyarat of Imam Rida alayhi salam, before you go, it is recommended to recite takbir and tasbih, because you're mentally preparing, you're spiritually preparing your soul. The same for Imam Husayn. The same for the Majalis of the Ahlul Bayt. Prepare your soul with the istighfar. Prepare your soul with salawat. Interesting, Atullah Bahjat, one of them, someone came to him and they told him they were having a lot of difficulties. He's like, recite salawat. The guy goes back, comes back a bit of time later. He's like, I didn't get anything. My difficulties weren't resolved. And he has a very beautiful line. Everything has a condition, and the condition of salawat is love.
It's love.
The Majalis of the Ahlul Bayt, without the love and the ma'rifah of the Ahlul Bayt, will not take us to the climax that we want to reach. And therefore, again, this love, this ma'rifah, and again, this love again comes back with tears. A lot of the times, like I say, people really look, they want to bring about a new method of mourning Imam Husayn. For what? what is our aim in bringing about new methods? The Ahlul Bayt have already said one who cries and one who makes another cry will have so and so reward.
Yeah.
They will. I get some people will come and say, oh, the Imams made people cry due to political reasons. Like, you know, they needed to spread the message of Imam Husayn to accomplish some political, they needed some political stuff to be attained. No, because we see that before Imam Husayn was martyred, they were crying.
Yeah.
The prophets who passed by Karbala cried. Imam Ali, during the Battle of Siffin, he passed by Karbala. The Prophet, he gave Salama the soil, and he told her, whenever this turns red, you will see that my grandson has been killed. All of these. If it was only political, why did the Prophets cry by Imam Husayn?
Yeah, that is.
Why would all the hadith, without any qaid and shurut, without any conditions, say cry by Imam Husayn? That's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it was only political reasons, somehow it would have reached us. It's political.
Yeah.
But we don't see that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's very okay. So then, I think another. I remember because there is this line in Ziyarat Aminullah, where the line goes something like this: "Wa abrata man baka min khawfika marhuma." So the one who cries out. Obviously, it's said in the Ziyarat, but it's saying out of the fear of God, right? And fear of God doesn't mean that God is an oppressor. No, rather it's the fear of losing God, not having that understanding, not gaining that marifa, so that fear of being away from God. And so, if somebody really with this intention, with this desire, cries for the sake of God, then, marhum, he is marhum, i.e. the mercy of Allah comes upon him. And even, another scholar was saying that, okay, yes, we have to gain marifa, we have to gain knowledge. But what happens is that when we cry on Imam Husayn, the heart is purified. The heart is purified, the sins are wiped away. And now the heart is ready to actually receive that knowledge. So this, obviously, like you said, the taharat before, but even this tears also do purify us. So is there anything more you want to add?
When we come again, the topic of ma'rifah of the Imam, like you said, it is, crying for the fear of Allah.
Yeah.
And, it is, when we look at Tawheed and Imamah, we should not look at it separate. Imamah leads to Tawheed. There's someone went, it's a bit of a long narration, I don't want to go through everything, but one of the companions goes to the Prophet and is like, Yabna Rasulullah, Yabna Rasulullah, Biabi anta wa ummi, fama ma'rifatullah. And the Prophet, went to an Imam, not the Prophet. It goes to the Imam, Yabna Rasulullah. Fama ma'rifatullah. And the Imam Husayn here says, Ma'rifatu ahli kulli zamanin imamahum walladhi yajibu alayhim ta'a. Ta'atuhu. The ma'rifah, ma'rifah of Allah is gained by understanding the Imam on whom it is whose wajib ta'a, for whom whose obedience is wajib, because that Imam will lead you to Allah. Therefore, again, the Muharram, when we go to this Muharram Majalis, if we have the ma'rifah of the Imam, we can understand that spiritual development, we can gain that spiritual insight into how he will take us to Allah. Because without the Imam, who are you going to go with to Allah? Like, we can't exactly go around in darkness, we need light. وَلِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَادٍ.
Okay, alhamdulillah, I think that was very, very insightful, and inshallah we get the tawfiq of honoring these majalises the way they should be, and obviously we all can benefit from, may Allah grant us the tawfiq to benefit from these kind of scholars, and as the narration says, ulama rabbani. So as it is, but so inshallah, thank you so much for joining. I don't know if is there any other points you want to add, or should we wrap it up? Because I know you're very passionate about this.
We don't have time.
Okay.
Let's go. Just wrap it up.
Okay. So thank you so much. Jazakallah for joining us. And please do subscribe to our channels, Faraj Media English, Faraj Kids, and hit the bell icon. And if you have any questions, please post them in the comments below, and we shall try our best to answer them. So thank you so much. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.